So what's up? Long time no see, no talk. You could tell because I look a lot different. I've grown all this facial hair, regular hair on my head. It's No Shave November, by the way. So we're doing another movie review. This time a new movie that just came out in theaters. A movie called Birdman with Michael Keaton, his big comeback performance. It's funny because the last movies we did were nothing but the Batman movies, and Birdman's kind of a reference to Batman, actually, and how in real life Michael Keaton, that's what he was best known for, and kind of just washed up since then. So this movie's almost like a parody of his career, and I give credit that he's not ashamed to make fun of it. But this is an interesting, bizarre movie to say the least. It is a comedy, maybe a dramedy, or one of those twisted type movies, something that you would normally see from like Darren Aronofsky. But I will say this, performances from everyone were 110% all across. I expect for sure at least an Oscar nomination from Michael Keaton, hopefully also for at least Edward Norton and Naomi Watts, but everyone was rocking. And also the cinematography, the movie was filmed. I know they didn't do this in real life, but it gave the impression it was all done in one shot. Like there were at least no visible cuts to other shots. It was all this one big take. But you could kind of tell there were parts that they had to digitally change, so I'm sure they didn't actually film the movie in one take, but they gave it that vibe. That was just one take. You know. What about you?
I know exactly what you were saying with the one-shot take. That's really something that was interesting that I was thinking about as I was watching this too. I must say what I really, really enjoyed about this movie actually was really the character study of character that Michael Keaton plays, and the funny thing is how much close to his reality the character is as far as like playing the superhero in like the early 90s and then, you know, kind of becoming washed up. But I mean, I don't see Michael Keaton doing some of the things the character was doing. But overall, this was a very interesting movie as far as like the life of a washed up actor, the life of what it's actually like being a stage actor. I thought that was incredible.
One who acts and directs his own show.
True. Yeah. And exactly like you said, like I thought everybody in this movie was good, but as good as Michael Keaton was, like I thought Edward Norton completely stole the show when he was on screen. I think he should at least get a nomination. And I think Naomi Watts was probably the best performance in the movie. I think she should get nominated too. That's just my opinion though. And Michael Keaton, like, I could see that another one getting at least nominated. The movie for Best Picture, I wouldn't mind it getting nominated, because I do think it's probably one of the better movies I've seen this whole year. And I like this movie actually more than what I expected it to. And I just really got involved with the little bit of the location that they had for this movie. I just really got involved with the story and the characters here, and everybody did a phenomenal job.
I think, and you know what, we just mentioned Keaton, Norton, and Watts. I really have to give it to like even Zach Galifianakis, who didn't have a lot of screen time, unfortunately. Man, and he lost weight too. Hit my head on my exercise.
He lost even more now.
Yeah, but he played straight. He didn't play like he's usually typecast as some weirdo, retard of the sort who lacks common sense. No, in this movie he played a smart, straight dude who was on top of everything. He actually was the smartest character in the show. He was the voice of reason. Whatever, because he was Michael Keaton's agent slash lawyer slash whatever, you know, advisor, whatever. So whenever he would go fuck up, you know, Zach Galifianakis' character would be the one to say no. You know, or when things were going great and Michael Keaton didn't see it, he'd be the one to say, look, dude, this is going good. You got a sold out crowd. You know, and there were A lesser known actress that had a decent part who's smoking hot was Andrea Riseborough, who played the black haired woman. I forgot her name. That
The one that's with the key.
yeah, that claimed she was pregnant. Not really a spoiler to say. Oh, she claimed she was pregnant with this child, but really wasn't. That stuff. And Emma, I almost said Emma Watson. Emma Stone, who and there's like two interesting scenes with Amy Ryan too. So whole cast is really killer. So and on a personal level, I'm sorry, I'm doing all this stuff. On a more personal level, based on experience, I do theater personally. I've only done it for about a year now. I've never been in a big, gigantic Broadway production. The largest stage I've been on was almost that big of a stage, but an overall much smaller theater. But not to compare to that, because that was a drama. Like, we didn't have those kind of issues. But I can personally tell you that in theater, there's always that kind of tension and politics, and well, you're not doing this right, and fights do happen. I've seen it. I think either the movie exaggerates on how bad it gets, or I've just never really had to experience that quite yet. Because I've seen backstage drama happen at much smaller theaters, like theaters about the size of a house, little theaters whose musicals would have to use can tracks, that 100 audience people would come in, the stage is, think of a club venue, that kind of thing. I guess, what do you call that, like fringe theater, kind of like that. It's fun, I promise you, but it is full of that kind of drama, I'll tell you that.
Actually, I have to, kind of go against you a little bit. I mean, I haven't really done theater or anything, but I can, even though you haven't experienced that, with the fights or whatever that break loose, I can believe that. I mean, the movie might have exaggerated a little bit.
Oh, it probably does happen.
I can believe it. It was believable, and I felt like the reality that was going on with these characters here, even though, some of the movie's not reality. The scenes when he's like picturing him being Birdman.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so not reality, but like everything these characters went through, I totally believe.
Michael Keaton's character imagined that he had telekinetic powers. Like, even in plane scenes, you see him levitate and float things, but it was all in his head, clearly. But no, I'm sure that kind of shit happens at major Broadway shows. I just tell you personally that it also goes as far down as small budget theater, small intimate theater. It happens. There's always egos getting in the way and people disagreeing with one another, instead of being like, well, okay, we'll work past it. Like, this is not how it goes. Stupid shit like that. But I've personally never seen people throw shit or break shit or get into an actual fist fight, but I've heard similar stories at the theaters I've been to do that kind of thing. Hope I never get to experience it, but I'm sure it's going to come one of these days.
Or choke somebody against the wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
That scene was
Punched
awesome.
him in the eye.
I love how he chokes Edward Norton's character up against the wall. He has like this whole dramatic speech about how his father abused him and everything. And it's like, you're really feeling the scene, and then he's like, none of it's true. And I laughed my ass off when that happened. I mean, that was great. That was a great scene. Well acted, and it's little scenes like that in this movie which really stuck with me. It really is a good movie. I mean, I do definitely recommend this movie.
Yeah, it's not. There's actually a couple of really, I don't know what the budget was, because I was under the impression it's a small budgeted movie, because it was, I think, technically an independent production, because it's distributed by Fox Searchlight. They're the ones that do independent movies, and it's been, like the Sundance Film Festival and whatnot. So I don't know what the honest budget was, but assuming it was small budgeted, it was well put together. There were actually some really, for the like scenes where he was imagining and whatnot, there was some really good visual effects shots.
That was definitely I would say, the highest budget parts of filming that movie.
Oh, I'm sure it's definitely the highest budget, and of course the movie was funny in a lot of senses too.
If I had to take a wild guess about what the movie, the budget of the movie without those scenes that were creative, I would estimate probably about $9 million if it wasn't for those. Maybe
I think it was a little more. You know, I'm gonna find out for you.
About 9 million if it wasn't for that. With those, just a rough guess, maybe like 13 million I would estimate.
I could
But I
picture
could be
being like
wrong.
13, 15, but let's see. You know what? I'm about to find out for you. Film Birdman, 2014 film. Its budget is 18 million. So, not that's pretty small budgeted. But the effect shots, like the opening and closing where it appeared there was this like meteorite coming down, were really incredible. So hopefully this is considered a permanent comeback for Michael Keaton, because he's always been a great actor, and I really don't know why.
Very underrated one. I've always felt
Very.
this way.
I don't know why he fell off the face of the earth for like a decade and a half. He came back. This is going to be the movie that really makes him come back, but he attempted to come back almost a decade ago with White Noise. That didn't work out too well. And then earlier this year, I think, in the last few years, I think he's kind of somewhat slowly started coming back. In 2010, he voiced the unique character in Toy Story 3, and he was in The Other Guys with Mark Wahlberg and Dwayne Johnson as a really funny character. And then he was in RoboCop, the remake earlier this year, which itself was an okay movie, but he gave a good performance in it. So he's making a comeback slowly but surely, and I think this will really...
I'd say this was definitely his major comeback. I know he's had a little attempts. Even we saw RoboCop a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is if this is not his comeback, then I don't know what is.
And some actors deserve to have that big second chance. Look, Robert Downey Jr. Has it. You know, he was an A-lister in the early to mid '90s. Fell off the face of the planet due to personal issues, and then came back with Iron Man, and now he's like one of the top paid stars, bigger than ever.
I would probably say that was probably the strongest comeback from an actor probably ever.
Yeah.
It's probably Robert Downey Jr. Mickey Rourke had somewhat of a comeback, and I'm glad, because honestly he's probably in my top 3 best actors of all time.
He kind of fell off a little bit again. He'll probably come back somewhere,
He's
but
great though. I mean, but he's very picky about what he does. But the man is just great.
He's good, but sometimes he's more of a tough guy type of person, so he does best in those roles, which I think the wrestler really worked well for him.
That was probably his best performance in 25 years, though.
It was. But some actors, if they're really good, they definitely deserve it. And I've always liked Michael Keaton, whether it be a serious movie or a comedic movie. And like I said, this movie had some funny scenes. I'll just give you a hint at this scene, because nothing's really a spoiler. This is like no twists or anything, but I just don't want to like just say everything. But I'm just gonna say this: frolicking around the city in white drawers.
I actually missed that scene.
Yeah.
I caught the beginning of that scene. I had to go to the bathroom real quick. I came back, the scene was gone, but I said, look, did I miss anything? Because I always tell everybody that if I go to the restroom and I come back. And he says, yes, he was running around in his white underwear, and the paparazzi were like, in the press were taking pictures of it.
And a clip of the video was shown in Emma Stone's character. She plays his daughter. And that was shown, she was on her phone showing him, look, you're a big hit. So,
But, yeah, from seeing it in the clip again from the YouTube video and understanding exactly what he was saying, I kind of pictured the whole scene anyways. That's the only scene in this movie I missed. But I kept fully focused on this whole movie the whole time I was watching it. And you're right, there is a lot that really does stand out in it. Especially for being in such a tight location, which I thought actually was kind of beautiful for the movie. I think it really just it fit the story, it fit the environment of what they were trying to tell here, and I really liked that aspect of it. And To me, a movie isn't about how it really looks. It's about character development. I mean, you can have two great characters in a room the entire movie. That doesn't mean it's a bad movie. I would probably love the movie actually if I loved the characters and the performances in it. And it's like little details that stood out with me. Like there's a scene he's talking to this critic, and he's just rumbling on and like really like bitching at her to her face.
Yeah, because she's apparently New York's top critic. Basically, if she says something, people will listen to it, and the show depends on its run based on what she says. And she hadn't seen the show yet. She's threatening him.
She has such a bias against him.
Yeah.
She'll do anything to rip it apart.
I'm gonna rip your show apart because I don't like you, your cast, you're spoiled brats, yada yada. And he sees her writing a review for another show on like a notepad, and he picks up, what's this? He reads it, and he's saying, all you're using are fancy keywords. What fucking stupid shit, man. You ain't got nothing. Oh my god. And this is a monologue, a ranting monologue, where he's just going off on her in a bar. In a bar! Okay, they're drinking. And this movie's loaded with monologues. Not extremely long. That was an extremely long one, but like, Emma Stone has one, maybe two really interesting monologues. So did Naomi Watts. But of course, really had, Edward Norton was, like you said, was the cake taker here. Nothing monologue-like, but, his performance was just out there.
If this makes any sense at all, I would say Edward Norton was the scene stealer.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as far as like on an emotional level, I think Naomi Watts was really good in this.
Yeah. But that's it. You see, this is a new movie. We don't know what its production was like, so we can't talk about, well, how did the casting get done? How was this produced like we did for the Batman movies, talking about how they wrote it and made it? We don't know. Like, this movie was a surprise, like, when it was in... We heard about it when the trailer was released. So we didn't know if this movie was getting made or anything. It's an independent movie, of course. You don't hear about its making of or anything like that. So it's not like there's much to talk about in that sense. They just kind of went out and made this movie, released it at film festivals earlier this year. And released it wide. Now we almost had to go to the Britannia Theater to see it, the single screen theater, but it turned out that this week it started playing at one of our mainstream multiplexes, so we didn't have to go all the way over there, which is really awesome. Matinee showing too, save ticket prices, yeah. But honestly, that's kind of all I have to say about the movie. Because there's nothing to talk about in the making of. I pretty much explained everything. It's just one of those interesting, great character studies that is funny and dramatic at the same time. So, like, I have to give it out of a 4-star rating. I'm gonna give it a perfect 4 because if there was anything wrong, it's not worth a whole half star to take off. And I only go by half stars and whole stars. I don't go by like 3/4, So I round up.
That's stupid.
I know.
What critic says, 3 and 3, and all right, I'm gonna give this 3 stars and 7/8.
Yeah. Well, you know what? If we did by the 10, like we did like IGN, like the 10-point scale, that IGN, their 10-point scale is as low as 0.0 to as far as 10, but it could be a 9.77. Within one digit, it's a 10, but 9.7, 9.8, 9.9, and any number. So that they do that, and that obviously would be, But I don't do the 10-point scale. I do the 4-star scale, and so I give it a perfect 4.
I was debating between a 3.5 or a 4, but I am gonna give it the full 4 for the simple reason that I thought this was the most interesting movie I've seen this year, and even though I haven't seen that many great movies this year, it would definitely be on my top list. It's definitely my number 1 Oscar contender for the moment.
Yeah. Well, let's see. We're about to. We plan on. Hopefully, he comes with me. We're going to be seeing Interstellar when it comes out this weekend, which is supposed to probably going to be like the best blockbuster of the year. But we don't know because we haven't seen it yet. We expect it to be great, but we don't know.
But as of this point right now, I actually cannot make like a top 10 list of this year.
Right.
But this is definitely, for the moment, probably easily my top 3 of the year. And I'm going to give it a 4.
Yeah. So, that's it, it sounds like. Alright. Wait. I'm sorry. By the way, we forgot to introduce ourselves. If you forgot, I am Matt. Some people call Chewy. This is Nick, who on the reviews only called the Goblin Boy. I want to apologize that Charles is not here with us. We still love him to death. We're in touch. We're cool. Nothing bad happened between us and them. He just moved further north into the countryside with his father and some people to be closer to family. But we hopefully we'll see him one of these days soon. Maybe go up there. I'll bring this laptop, everything for a movie review, or if we get him a visit here. We hope that you do see him again. We hope to see him again. So I just wanted to make that clear.
I hope so.
I'm sorry about that. Okay, now we're done.